Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. My name is Adam, and this is a show where I share some of my ideas on how to make your games easier to run and more fun to play if you're playing Pathfinder or some sort of similar system. As always, we'll start off with a character whose name is Lord Grandin Ironstance. He is a dwarf aristocrat, and the reason he's an aristocrat is because he's a lord, obviously, and he is a lord who once served a baron, but the baron's getting old now, and his control over him isn't as strong as it used to be. So now he's taking a page from the humans' books, and he's, instead of locking himself up in a Dwarven fortress sort of situation, he's expanding out and making himself more powerful and that sort of thing. And to get divine help for this, he makes supplications to Abadar and Gorham alike. Right before breakfast, he'll worship Abadar for a little while, and then right after lunch, he'll worship Gorham for a little while. And then he'll go to sleep right around 6 o'clock, and then wake up around 6 o'clock the next day. He tends to sleep as much as he is awake, unlike most people. He's a little bit of a battle king, and he'll even wear very heavy armor and big swords and dwarven weapons and things to very delicate political meetings. If you want to know his stats or a little bit more about him, his information will be in the link in the description below. Next, I have a setting for your campaign, which is set in the Mindspin Mountains. If you don't know where they are, you can do a very easy Google search and find out where they are in Golarion relative to everything else on that map. In this area, there's plenty of fire giants, and my phone keeps ringing so much. Anyway, these fire giants are an enormous threat, so anybody who knows how to do magic is going to exploit the weakness that fire giants have, which is that they're very vulnerable to cold. So, the priests there worship Gazra for powers over water and the cold. Anybody who's studying magic takes up the water elemental school so they can freeze the fire giants and weaken them at least a little bit if they get together into large cabals. Pretty much the entire culture and the entire political climate around here is built around the fact that it's very mountainous and there are plenty of fire giants. All the towns are sort of in a constellation that they're a part of with the other cities, but they will cooperate because you can't stand apart when you have that big of a militaristic threat of powerful beings against you. Thirdly, I have a plot hook. And this plot hook is that the elements have been somehow thrown out of balance. And now, since they are out of balance, the universe is trying to overcorrect itself by throwing in extra forces to try and balance it out. So say the entire Earth is covered in water. Fire elementals start appearing out of nowhere. Volcanoes start erupting. Things start getting very hot, just to balance out that elemental energy. And it's not always a good thing, and your players have to stop it. Yeah. And tying those last three things together, I have a one-shot for you. So we start off in the Mindspin Mountains. It's between a few countries, so if your players are trying to travel between, like, say, Nidal and Nir Mathis, or quite a few different countries, actually, they could very well end up traipsing around in these mountains for a while. So they eventually run into a settlement of dwarves, and the first person they meet is Lord Grandin Ironstance, and he complains that There have been air elementals and lightning elementals just whirling down from the mountains, coming out of the sky, causing a whole bunch of trouble. And the reason this is happening, Lord Grandin, nor most other people don't know this, but the reason that this is happening is because the air elementals are trying to come in to fill in a gap, because you have all that mountain energy and all of the dwarves reproducing a lot, which leads to a heavy earth energy, which needs to be balanced by more air, which is why air elementals coming in to fix the problem. However, them coming in under these circumstances has made them very berserk and angry, and all they know what to do with themselves is start lashing out at everything. And your players can ignore it if they want to, but they're going to have to solve the problem, and not necessarily through violence. Because if they start getting violent with the elementals, more will just come in, and the ones that do come in will be more powerful, and everything will get worse, and it'll be a very bad thing. So they have to find a way to resolve it peacefully, and by sort of healing the metaphysical gap that's been left there. And the music that I have to accompany this one-shot is called The Cusp of Magic by Kronos Quartet. I do a lot of Kronos Quartet stuff in my campaigns, I've noticed. Now that we're done with all that, I can start musing. I promised you the other day that I would continue talking about spellbooks. I thought I had to burp. I didn't need to. Anyway, what you're going to want to start out with when you're making a spellbook, or even starting on a description for your character's spellbook, if you're just doing this out of your mouth instead of actually crafting one and wanting to show it, you're going to want to figure out a theme, and this theme is going to be based on your character's opinions on magic. Is magic a very mathematical thing, and your spellbook has lots of mathematical charts in it, lots of grids with numbers in them? Or is it more language-based, and everything looks like a poem in an unknowable language? Or is it based on philosophical ideas, and you have lots of pictograms everywhere, which your character studies and tries to analyze in order to gain their magic spells? Any sort of philosophies that they believe in, and if you don't know what philosophies they do believe in, it's something worth analyzing, I think. Just basically think of ideas for magical philosophies that your characters believe in, and then you can use those ideas to start planning out the basic framework for what your spellbook is going to look like. And it'll make sense as it goes along, and you can look up Google searches of different actual spellbooks, grimoires, that sort of thing. Anyway, I believe that ends my show. I'll see you all tomorrow.